you don't lose ever. You win or you learn.
My guest today is founder of Never Fully Dressed, Lucy Aylen.
I'm not afraid of disagreement at all. I love it.
I had a problem being a CEO.
Yeah, I've
Calling
never called myself
CEO.
that until just recently.
Yeah. Starting out in the markets of Portobello Road, Lucy has built a loud and proud clothing brand, known for its maximalist styles, inclusive sizes, and multi-wear features.
New York market, there's only a few places that you can shop if you're above a US 14.
Why didn't you get in front of the camera?
It was just not me.
Can you give me the biggest challenge you've faced?
It's actually undoable.
She's never taken investment, and in this episode, Lucy takes us through how she's gone from London markets to international recognition.
I was like, Elspeth, I want this. This is the permanent store I want. She was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, yeah, no, this is the one I want. I just think it's so damaging to teach people that.
Welcome to Unboxed. I'm your host, Connie Nam, the founder of Astrid and Miyu. In these conversations, I speak to founders, investors, and creators who are all breaking boundaries in their space to discover the person behind the brand and what it took for them to build their empires. Hi, Lucy. So good to see you. Long time.
Lovely to see you. Really long time. Yeah, pre-kids,
pre-everything,
pre-COVID.
Pre-everything. It's like a different life now.
Thank you for having me.
You look the same. You look very well.
No, I don't.
You do.
I don't. I look a little bit, worse for wear.
Wow.
But, yeah.
So tell me about Never Fully Dressed. Obviously, like it's an Instagram famous business and a lot of people know you as the face of the brand. But if you could tell our audience about you and also the brand, the inspiration, everything.
So if people don't know Never Fully Dressed, and we started before social, do you know what I mean? So I started a business never really with a business plan or never aware of brand. Do you know what I mean? It was just a little bit as a hand to mouth. I was a failed actress. I'm an undiscovered actress. I need to start rephrasing that. I needed a bit of a job, really. And I've always been creative, so I could make things. I would always make little bits for myself. And my parents were market traders. I kind of come from that background. I like that community, that kind of energy of a market, which my kids have now, weirdly. I feel like I've not been doing the market, but they just have that in them. I think there is something in your blood. So I started doing Spitalfields, Portobello Road, like making little bits, just as a bit of a, I think my mum was like, come on, you have a time frame of when you can give this acting a go, like you need a bit of a job now. So started it as a job, I think.
Oh,
and
wow.
then during, which I'm
to
sure
make a living, you mean?
to earn money. And then I'm sure as we chat through this, kind of there's so many different stages of a business. Never had a business plan, anything. And just it started to grow a little bit, which was nice. Then Instagram happened. So that was just a new thing. Before that, there was Facebook. And I used to just cold message people being like, I'd see their profile and completely judgmentally think, you look like you might wear what I'm making. Do you want to shop with me? And then I'd do that enough times until I got blocked.
Do you want to shop with me?
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
And then I said I'd do that enough times until you get blocked. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? To be like, you're cold messaging people.
That's
and then
amazing.
you have to wait 2 days.
It's not even approaching influencers. You were approaching
the
customers.
influencer wasn't, that wasn't a concept then. Yeah. And I was actually talking about the other day, it was quite refreshing. There's so many people who are now massive influencers that just wanted to wear something. So it'd be like, oh, can I wear that? And they would post it. There'd be no paid to post things. That was just unheard of.
Yeah.
It was, I think, when it first started, a real true use of the platform as a collaborative, communicative community that created all of those things, which was amazing. And I think during COVID, we had a little spell of that as well, which kind of washed things away. And it was quite authentic how people were present on those platforms. But anyway, so that was there. And I then started to be aware of that community, that voice that we had on there. And like I said, there's different starts to it. So then we got a store as well. My mum was like, oh, get out of the house. We were working from her loft and we got the store. Social started to grow. Still really unaware of an end goal or something that I wanted to get out of. No, still no plan. So when I think back, I was like, oh, you must have had something in your mind, because I know how I work as a person, but really looking back, there wasn't a what now is in your head all the time, like what's your exit strategy, what's the, do you know what I mean? People want to know that, what your plan is for this business. And sometimes I'm just a bit like, I'm open.
In hindsight, if you could distill your success into a few words, what would that be?
I think that naivety at the time was quite refreshing. A love for what I do, and I think I genuinely love people, and now the more of that customer facing stuff I do, which it was that market, is that energy that fuels you. And I don't think you can fake that.
Yeah.
A real honesty in our voice, and I think a genuine approach to where we are on our journey of business, not trying to fake anything or
which sounds simple, but it's really hard to achieve. Like not a lot of brands are achieving this, right?
Yeah, and I do think maybe for us then the growth has been slower in a way. I know we've spoke before, like I've not had the investment or I've not seeked. I have explored that before, and when I've sat there, it gets to a point and I'm a bit like, I don't need someone else's money to. Maybe there's just a real stubbornness in me, or I don't need someone else's input, I think, to achieve what I want to achieve. I think it's a really authentic path that we've done. And I'd like to see that through.
Yeah. When you were at Spitalfields and Portobello, how long did you do that? What were your first products? Did you design them or did you buy them in? Are they similar to what you have now? Or are they completely different?
Well, I feel like, say with that whole boho kind of Chloe-esque, her runways were amazing this season. So like that lace, oversized, boho-y thing that is coming back. We're actually re-looking at styles that, I very first did. A few of the shirts now still have the same names. And when we started, everything was named after someone or a friend or...
Yeah.
So our Chester shirt's named after my best mate's little boy. Like that's made a comeback. So all of these names is quite
that's amazing.
fun to be a part of. So some of the styles are still about.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing when we first started, because we're quite known now for our size inclusivity, when we first started, everything was one size. So I didn't come from a design background.
I remember that because I think we were on ASOS Marketplace when we first launched. You know, I didn't have any money. Like I just needed platforms beyond. So I was on
ASOS Marketplace was amazing.
It was amazing. And like I discovered your brand through that and it was amazing. And you hired your friend to be the model at that time.
Yeah. It was a good platform. But so everything was oversized and one size because I could cut in that way or design. I used to customize and then the haberdashery that I was using where I used to buy trims and stuff. They were like, oh, we can make this for you. And they were based in China, a Chinese family. So people would think I would go to China for economies of scale and all of that. But no, we started making 20 units from China.
Oh, wow.
I did have a factory in North London. I say it was just the haberdashery that I was using in London. Maybe took a shine to me or were quite interested in what I was doing. Maybe they saw potential to grow.
Oh, and they had a family back in China.
Yeah. The family lived in London and the factory was in China.
Yeah, I feel like that supplier relationship is so important because that's how I started Astrid Miyu as well because I had a supplier who believed in me and she let me produce 1 unit per design and we could just put it up.
Yeah, I think everything you're led by relationship. I really do think, and I think I've come a little bit full circle with that as well. You get a little bit distracted by stuff, but I think we've really come back going into this year, towards the back end of this year, just really being conscious about any relationships we have, any work that we do, feeling really authentic with it. And for me to give my time where I think, where I want to give it.
Yeah,
what are those? So relationships, I think all of our business is built on, whether that's supplier, obviously customer, staff. I think those strong relationships are really key in life.
Great. Yeah, and I remember, I don't know, this was pre-COVID, 7, 8 years ago, we were talking about
COVID threw all sense of time out the window. The other day, and you're like, oh no, it was actually 5 years ago.
7 years ago, 10 years ago, like whenever it is. I visited your office once, and I remember your aunties and like your whole family sitting in the office, right?
Yeah, it's still
what is it like that still?
Yeah,
it's still very much a family business.
Yeah, I think so. My dad works for the building that we rent the office from. My sister, she's in the social team and is doing amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's just, I think if you're an outsider to come in, I think you'd probably think there were more family members in the team than there are. Because I'm just thinking it's only actually my cousin works in the store and my mum works in the store. And my sister is on the social team. But it's like we just have that family feeling about what we do. A lot of the staff have been there.
You have a bunch of lifers.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of staff that have been there for a long time, and that's been a recent thing for me in business as well. Just really identifying those people you trust. I got some advice from someone, and it was when I was exploring hiring a COO, and this guy, a really successful guy in the city, was like, "Why? Do you know what I mean, really, really identify the qualities or why you're making these hires." Yeah, and actually there were qualities in a lot of the staff that I already had that were those pillars in the business that actually I trusted already. And sometimes I do think the devil do you know what I mean? So there might be things that we could improve on. But I think you put this onus on this magic person is going to be a golden ticket in whatever capacity that
Yeah.
is. And I don't think that's always the case.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff that you already have that you can actually work tighter on or give the time and the commitment. Like a kid gets a new present, they put all of this thing on the new thing, but actually it might last 2 minutes, or, do you know what I mean? It was just a bit shiny. I think this thing, if you gave it a little bit more love or reworked something that you have, actually there might be more longevity there.
You had a COO, or like you
No,
didn't?
we didn't. No, we didn't go.
Yeah.
We didn't go for that in the end.
Although I did hire a CEO 3 years ago, and that's one of the best things I've ever
Life-changing,
done.
yeah.
Life-changing. But I think it definitely needs to be the right person, because it was it was like a 6 to 8 month journey.
Yeah, I was going to say it's quite not distracting, but do you know what I mean? It takes a lot of your energy.
Yeah, and it's like every business
find
needs
that.
different things from a CEO or a managing director, especially when it's founder run, right? Because we have certain things that we want to do, but
I think that was
so it
part of
needs
the
to be
thing.
someone like who loves doing the stuff that we don't want to do.
Yeah,
who's
and
really
I think
good
that
at
I
it.
say with the investment piece, I think I'm stubborn and realised I've been doing it long enough, or I'm probably.
Yeah.
I always say like I'm good at when I know my place. I'm good. I'm hardworking. Like when I was a waitress, that's fine. I know where I stand. Like if I'm a founder or a CEO, I know where I stand. But I think if I then had a partner, I think I would maybe struggle. I don't know. So I think that's got to be really tough to find that right person for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's your current role? CEO?
I'm
founder?
CEO.
Yeah.
Founder,
and you've got
CEO.
a
And I have a CEO, and I have 8 or 9 directors
Okay.
who are incredible, who are functional leaders.
Okay. Do they work at the business, or are they external as well?
They work in the business.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So executive directors.
Okay.
It took a long time to build out that
Yeah.
team, and like building that team is so critical in growing the business, because if you have one missing piece, it just doesn't work.
And they need to work well together. There needs to be such a trust between them, or an understanding. And then for that might be, you might identify something in someone, actually, that is a skill set that really needs work as well, whilst they're doing a day job that needs
Absolutely.
help.
And value fit is so important, because
Yeah.
you can't just plug a smart person in there
No,
if they're not good fit for the team, or if they want to create their own like fiefdom, or like being political. It just destroys the business.
I know. And I've found from experience, like a good energy is a bit of a slower grower, but better. Like it's more stable and great foundations. But you have one tiny thing and it's wrong, and it spreads like wildfire, and it's so tough to work through that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I suppose, in my experience, just without taking that personal as well. Do you know what I mean? I think it's tough when you're dealing with people, their lives, and you're building that team. Yeah, there's a lot of personal relationship in there as well. And it's hard, I've found, as a CEO to sometimes be aware of both of those sides. You're someone's boss, do you know what I mean? But you feel like I said, we have that family environment. But at the end of the day, you are someone's boss as well.
Absolutely.
And luckily I've never had the experience where that's got messy with the family side of stuff, but I know it can be, and I think that's a real challenge, and making sure your boundaries and you're aware of that.
I think, like, looking at it from the outside, a potential problem, if I may say, could be someone coming in from the outside and thinking, oh my God, this is like everyone's Lucy's family. How can am I an outsider here? Right?
Yeah. Similar to what I say, though, I always say about colour. Colour to me is not wearing a rainbow. Colour is an energy that you bring, similar to that family to me. Family, do you know what I mean, nowadays is so blended and fluid, and whatever you can make that. I'm so lucky. I know how lucky I am with my biological family, but equally, that's something that you build and that you work on. And equally, like I say, it's not easy. I think with a family, with a sibling, you can
it could get complicated.
Yeah, you can, and you can disagree. But again, I think when you've got that element of trust, you can work through that. I think it's a strength, but I'm not afraid of disagreement at all. I love it, especially if a junior member of staff disagrees with me. I think, oh, how great. Like, I really don't want to be surrounded with people that just say yes because you ultimately are their boss. I think you need challenge. I've had friendships where, like really good friendships, where we've had a disagreement or something's come up and it's been something that we have to work through, and then the friendship is stronger coming out the other side. It's just not it's just not the real world. It's not reality to think that you're going to go through every friendship, every marriage, every employee-employer relationship and see eye to eye. But I think it's such a strength to be able to talk through that and see someone else. It might have been the same guy, actually. He's got a lot. I've got a lot to thank him for.
The person that works in this. Who is this guy?
He's a colleague of my sister's, actually, weirdly. But when you've got a hard meeting to have as a employer, whether it's you've had a disagreement or they want something from you can't give, or whatever the subject matter is, come to that meeting as if that's your best friend sitting there. Do you know what I mean? And you suddenly have a different empathy, or you want them to leave the room happy as well, but still make sure you communicate. And I thought that was quite interesting. Do you know what I mean?
It's just knowing that they know that you care about them. That's why you're delivering those.
Not even for my own
right?
back like that. Yeah. It's not that they then have to like me. I just think it's a better outcome. If you come trying to see their point of view, if you know you're in a safe space and you say, we come to this meeting with good intention, they might not like what you've got to say. It might be a disciplinary, or you really disagree with how they handled something or whatever it is. But if you come to that, like you said, knowing that your intention is good, or wanting you both to have, I'm being really profound, but grown through that meeting, or come out that seeing something a bit different, then I think it's a better meeting.
Yeah.
Not being nervous that whatever you're going to say is going to offend someone, because you should have an element of trust there.
Yeah. I think you have said previously that your biggest challenge has been being an employer. Yeah. So I guess it kind of leads from this. Can you give me the biggest challenge you face, an example?
A recent one that I'm learning of is we've started the process of trying to become B Corp. And for the first time, again, it's made me look at our employment process, what type of employer we can be. I've only come to that now, I say 15 years down the line. We didn't have that structure. I didn't come from that business background or being aware of what employer I was. I suppose my parents had a business, but it was in the 80s. It was of a time where someone turns up to work, you pay them and you go home. Yeah, they had a great vibe, but I wasn't aware of that. So learning of our duty, and me personally, what company I want to be, that has not always matched up with where our employee is in what they're expecting. So yeah, I'm on a journey of that, but that's not okay. If 3 years ago someone worked for me and I wasn't the best employer at that time, they might have expected something that I wasn't able to deliver. We came out of COVID like a different size business to what we went in. And I think, and obviously the employment sector changed massively. That was completely new to me.
And how did you find out about this expectation mismatch? Did you get feedback from your employees? What was that process like?
Not slow. It's not any one specific. I think it's something that I in this process of now realising what I want to be, what I want that to,
so you're
how I want to serve.
Unpicking it yourself.
Oh, actually, yeah. It's that really. Yeah, just self-reflection. Of, okay, maybe there are things we could have done better, but it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? I think we've always been.
But at least you're aware of it.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's not that we did anything bad before. It's just thinking, we could do better, and this is where we are. But I'm just saying that journey is different, and I 1,000,000% don't think it's our right for someone to be accepting that I'm on a journey. I think you lose that right as an employer. Do you know what I mean? I'd hate to be famous, or one of those. So a politician who you do one thing wrong and everyone's got an opinion of you because they
of
they
course,
need so much more of
every
you.
time you're in a position of power, you're scrutinized. And people expect things from you.
So it's tough, and I think totally fair that someone would want you to be. They don't accept that you're on a journey. You need to provide them what they need at that time. And I think that's fair in that relationship.
Yeah, of course, because in their mind, you're big. You're
a
big company.
Yeah.
And you're leading the company.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think that's my issue
Although
to deal
you're
with.
also just human.
Yeah, of course. But I think you do lose that as an employer.
Yeah,
I'm very lucky that, like I said, I've got a really supportive network at work. But equally, I do think shame, that is just one of the things that come with the territory, that you're not allowed to be so human when you've got people who you can make decisions that affect them so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you talk about different stages of your business. So you had the market days, you had the first store days, and you have the post-COVID days, I guess. Like, can you walk me through those different stages and where you are now in terms of your team and size of the business?
So we started with no plan. Then the store, nothing crazily changed from that. It was just nice to have. I think for me, I remember getting dressed to go to work. That was great. I think that's a problem we have now with, which of course social is amazing. That is your market now. So that is your community and your window shop. So that's something I didn't have. But equally, I do think, and obviously the working from home, if that's 24/7 for someone, especially if they're starting their own business, and it can be quite lonely as an entrepreneur, I think that's not great from a mental health standpoint. And I was working from my mum's attic, so even then, I'd just be wearing slacks every day. So I remember going to work in the shop, and it was half our office, loving getting dressed, thinking, oh my gosh, this is so great to interact with people. I think it's so key, I say, for mental health, just that personable interaction. So that was there. Then I say social, but still social was quite a slow burner for us. But obviously it changed in hindsight, it changed everything. And that was our real saving grace during COVID, I suppose. I think for me, again, and I know now people would think of me as the face of the business, but I was never on our Instagram till COVID.
Yeah, I remember
and then we
this,
have to,
because
not at all.
you were using your friends to face the brand.
Yeah,
right?
it was just not me.
Why didn't you get in front of the camera?
You're
an actress.
I suppose it was such
natural.
a small team. I was the one that was taking the photos or doing the thing. It wasn't conscious, I suppose. But then we had to, because we had to sell stuff, and my husband made a set in the garden, and I had to start shooting to just get products listed, because obviously you couldn't shoot, you couldn't do anything like that. And I think then, again, another phase of realising the strength of our voice and being a bit more ingrained in that conversation with our customer and how we could serve them. Obviously, we were customer-centric before, but I think that real sense of community at that time, people really appreciated. So we would do a lot of stuff that wasn't clothing or wasn't sales-driven, but I think that was really appreciated. And obviously, we are colourful. So I think that was a nice release for people, a real escapism through fashion and colour, and a real just joyousness, I think. So yeah, then I became I suppose over time, maybe in the last year or so, the face of the brand. That was a big change, COVID, for us. We grew a lot. So we went into COVID, maybe there was about 10 of us, staff-wise. And like everyone, used to have our daily Zooms with everyone. That would be difficult now. We're now at about 40 in the UK, and then we've got a small US team.
Did you pivot your product range? Because you had a lot of dresses, so were
Not
people
really,
still wearing
because that's
dresses?
already booked far in advance. So I know, considering our product offering, it wasn't leggings and loungewear. We did well. Do you know what I mean? We grew in that year. But I think it was the colour rather than the product focus. And maybe people put on weight, the long, flowy, nice dresses people felt comfortable in. It was a lot of garden, outdoorsiness. But we did move. I suppose at that time, freight was crazy, and different countries were affected by COVID at different times. So
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I know. So we produce in China, India, Romania, the UK quite a lot. So obviously when freight was insane from the Far East, then we would try and move production, but then everyone's trying to go produce in Europe because of that. And then India got affected really bad quite late in the COVID journey. So then everyone's trying to move stuff. But then if you've booked that heavily, then that affects your delivery, especially we're quite seasonal. We're kind of a little bit summer somewhere all the time, but still spring, summer is key for us. If that product is coming in October, that doesn't work. So how do you then manage that relationship you want to keep them afloat and support them, but we can't sell that at that time. So just a lot of difficult relationships. But I think the whole world, there was a bit of a global empathy with each other of just trying to make things work and trying to keep as many businesses afloat that you could do and be as conscious as you could. We got an FD just before COVID, so a bit like your COO in a way, like he brought a lot of structure that I was unaware of. Like we didn't have staff appraisals, bonuses, things like that I just didn't have that set up. Like I think it was the 3 staff that I all had when we were in the store were mums from my sister. I've got young twin sisters, so there was a big gap. So in their school playground, they were the mums from the school that just wanted a little part-time job. So that just wasn't a thing, but things that we were learning and building, and wonderful, because one of them She was a merchandiser at M&S, like pre-kids, and I think we're really supportive of working parents. So she was a merchandiser before, and it's been so amazing as the business has grown to then see her come back into that merch. She's now head of ops and merchandising,
amazing.
but seeing that skill set come into play and seeing them really flourish in what they were so passionate.
And it was just so organic as well.
Yeah, it's like our head of buy-in. She was buyer at Tesco's, had kids. I think it's so tough for women's confidence, logistically, financially, just to get back into a career, not just a little side job or a small little job that they can do around pickup. It's actually undoable. I don't get how it's been till now. Mother Pucker, I don't know if you know what I mean, that she's changed the law and is really supportive flexi working.
Yeah. How do you do it personally? Because you have 3 kids. They're similar age to my kids.
Yeah.
I know how hard it is to raise kids, run a business.
I'm fortunate that it's a bit of a flipped coin or whatever, like that. Yes, you can work 24/7 as a CEO. Do you know what I mean? You work a lot, but equally your time is a little bit more flexi because you've not got a boss. You're right. Like, so if I want to go to sports day, I can go to sport. I've not got to book that off with someone. Yeah, you've got to manage your diary, and I can pick that up at midnight. I think I'm a bit better at that now. I've got a good nanny. Do you know what I mean? You have a good support
that's so important.
Network. Yeah, I think you just do it. I just like getting stuck in, and I'm not very good, I suppose, if I'm not busy. I need to be busy all the time. So I think I naturally just attract that busyness.
We talked about suppliers during COVID.
Yeah.
Do you still work with that Chinese supplier you initially worked with now?
Not that one, unfortunately, but another one that we started really around the same time, which we still work with. We've worked with that one for about 10 years, like pre-kids. Yeah. So we've worked with that Chinese factory for the long time. Most of our factories are really long-standing.
Yeah,
similar timing, really. Yeah.
And what are the pros and cons of being the face of the brand? Because it's only recent, right?
I'm quite lucky that because we've got that honest voice, I haven't got to be polished all the time, so I can look like this and it still works. But in that vein as well, I say we don't filter at all. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it was in COVID we made that decision, and I never used to do it. It's not like we edit or contour or anything like that, take out anyone's stretch marks, anything like that. But I think if I was on story, for example, I just used to think that a subtle, like little Paris, like one swipe wouldn't do any harm. But I think they're the worst ones. So I remember in COVID doing it once thinking, what on earth am I doing? Like maybe it's conscious as a parent or seeing young girls and so, like, I just think it's so damaging to teach people that, but not even just kids, like I think adults to look and think that is what skin looks like because it doesn't. So this is what a working mum of 3 looks like, the skin and whatever it is, tiredness. So that doesn't bother me that I'm the face in that way.
Does it consume a lot of energy out of the business, or like it doesn't really?
It's tough because I know my voice resonates. Like I know I do engage with the customer, and I think customers identify me as that.
Yeah.
So I know that from a real statistical level ups our engagement or whatever. Like if I do a talking story about something rather than a like posh slide of it, do you know what I mean? Or where they think like something a little bit more polished. So that can be a little bit, do you know what I mean? And I think it then dilutes your voice when you're talking about something really passionately. So you don't want that to be the case. You don't want people to be
and I feel like authenticity has always been a part of the brand, even before you were the face of the brand, right? Because you were one of the first brands to include size diverse models, models of different racial diversity. Was that always like deeply, was that intentional for you?
No, I think that's just how, I suppose it must be because how I am. So it's just ingrained in how we work. But now has become, I suppose, when you're aware of that and what difference that makes to people and how passionate people are about that. And I suppose I always took for granted, I've naturally been on the slimmer side, that I could just go shopping with my mum for my birthday or friends and go and hang out with them all. Like that is not a thing for so many women. And you've just taken that for granted. So I think more of a respect and I don't know, that you owe these women that experience. It's just amazing to be part of, like, and seeing just so many different types of women celebrating each other is, amazing to be part of. I find any one thing so, I always say, like, any elitism is so boring. Like, I like just a mix of whatever level you are, even if someone's trendy or not so trendy. I've got friends who don't like that look. Do you know what I mean? But it's amazing that they can all shop in the same place. I think it started, like I said, when we had the one-size garments at the market. I think that's how we started those styling videos that we're known for now. It's how tangible they are, and it's made to work for you, whether it's just your style, your body, your age, how you feel comfortable, the occasion you've got. So you might be the same person, the same body, but you wear something on holiday or then for a job interview and then for a date. Like, I suppose now where people are more conscious how they're shopping sustainably, and really I think it's a big thing. It's tough for people, one, money-wise, but two, having as much in your wardrobe, making that piece work, like sing for its supper. I think that's really key.
Yeah.
And it brings that creativity of what I used to do when I was younger before I started NFT. Like, I used to buy something and my mum used to go crazy. She's like, you've just bought that. Why are you cutting it? Or like, it's brand new. I'm like, but I want it to be this way. I love that element about it, but let's mix it with something else, like your taste. I think that eclecticness is slowly becoming a bit more fashionable now, which is fun to see. I think you see so many different sides of someone's personality coming out. I actually just read something, I was flicking, to be honest, in a magazine in, I think it was Vogue, and FKA Twigs was talking about that eclecticness and that real mix. And I think that's something that British fashion do really well. The States don't really get so much. There has to be a label on what label you are.
Yeah, and I guess it's very like tidy. Everything, merchandise is very tidy. Everything's very well organized.
But everything about how they work, I found that quite baffling. When we opened the store in New York, like if they wanted that cup moved, they would phone the cup mover and get them to come and move the cup. Do you know what I mean? If I want the cup moved, you just move the cup. Like it's just, they're really
I know what you mean.
In their lane. So that was a weird cultural thing that I wasn't aware of before. But I think that mix, I think that Portobello marketness is such a diverse mix of people, and that eclecticness and throwing things together and making things work is a real interest that I think British fashion and London do really well.
Yeah, and US, you're in Nolita.
Yeah.
You used to be our neighbors. We had to shut down that store in
yeah.
Elizabeth. Congratulations, firstly.
Thank you.
What is your approach to going out in the US? And I'm sure you have challenges and wins. Can we talk about them?
Yeah, it was really organic, our growth in the US. So we grew naturally. We saw that rate of growth increasing. I just think the potential there is massive for us. I could just feel, I know that's tough, but sometimes you know something in your gut. I could see. Yeah. Obviously, there might be, I say that 15 years of business behind you that is just then ingrained in that gut feeling as well. But that intuition that I could feel that growing, and thinking, how do we then recreate that community, that real home that we have in the UK over there? So, which is what we did. I think we've done enough pop-ups, maybe 5 pop-ups, to think, I think this is where our home is. Yeah. And we actually did a pop-up in that exact store.
Oh,
and
did
I just
you?
felt,
was
it was just a good...
Was that pre-COVID or post-COVID?
Post-COVID.
Post-COVID,
it was
okay.
about a year ago. Yeah. And I just loved that store. A big, lovely front windows. I think that daylight is so key for a store fit, and just managed to make that work. Like that week, I said to Elspeth, who isn't with us anymore, if she's listening, she used to run our pop-ups, and I was like, Elspeth, I want this. This is the permanent store I want. She was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, yeah, no, this is the one I want. So she got on the phone, and weirdly that week the landlords were looking for a permanent tenant.
Oh,
like
wow.
They were like, we're just about to list it.
And
like, it'd only been a pop-up.
It used to be a pop-up space
before that. Yeah. Sometimes things just align. Whereas London, we've been trying, like central London, we've been trying to make for years, and nothing's worked. I think when you know a city so well, you're so precious. Maybe you're a bit worried. I think that about entrepreneurs as well. You know, when I always think, just go for it. You will learn so much more in the action, because you get so protective and so precious over anything that then you then build up a bit of a fear.
Yeah, and I think sometimes like US real estate market is less precious, like you said, because they're owned by individual landlords.
Yeah, maybe
like
to
in
hit
London,
the big
they're
gods
owned by
of in London.
Big,
I know.
Companies.
So had the store, and the store's doing well. But I say since the store opening, we've seen over 60% growth in the US e-com. Yeah. It's nearly coming up to a year that we've had the store. Yeah. So it's just having that real...
we're seeing a massive growth in US e-com as well.
That massive investment.
More so than the store growth, we're seeing more like growth in e-com.
Yes. Yeah, but I think that base is from the store. So stores for us, of course, if they make money, that's amazing. But they are that marketing piece that then you see the growth online. So all of that growth over there would be attributed as well.
Are you doing a lot of press and marketing around that store as well?
Yeah, I think because of the size offering in store as well, really is quite a niche thing. I think for that New York market, there's only a few places that you can shop if you're above a US 14, really, probably 12. So that's really key, I think, for that real life marketing piece there. And then we are opening in the summer in LA. with what we see as we're calling it a long-term pop-up.
Yeah.
So it's between 6 months and a year with view to then increase.
Where in LA are you? I'm actually going out to LA next week.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Just near Melrose Place, where I think there's a 100G pop-up next door,
Yeah,
like where the cult guy
I know where that is.
in that little area, which is, again, I know that area well, so I feel quite safe in that
You
little
lived in
triangle.
LA when
I
you
did
were,
when I was 18. I went out there for a bit and used to go back quite a lot. So yeah, I like LA. And we've done a few pop-ups there. They're good. So I think, again, just having that East and West Coast bases.
Yeah, and you'll have different kinds of audiences, and like they'll probably buy into different designs.
Yeah, I think we're still learning now on the bestsellers in the US are quite different. I thought a bestseller was a bestseller.
Are they? How are they different?
I don't know.
What are your bestsellers here? What are your bestsellers here?
I don't know. But it was raised last week with Jack, like the lady I had merch. She was like, "Oh, it's really interesting. Let's go through that." And then we've not gone through it yet.
What are your bestsellers here in the UK?
Anything, please say. Sequin was our bestseller in January. You'd think that would drop off a cliff from after Christmas. But I think the quality of our sequin is so amazing. It's the best. I say we've just opened with Harvey Nicks. We had an event last week. And you see any other sequin from any other brand. And I'm not like blowing our trumpet. The quality of our sequin is the best. So maybe that's why. And it's still like the lining, the weight of it, and it's still got that flexibility with the wrap stuff. It's really great on all shapes. And so sequin, plissé, obviously leopard print at the minute. Yeah. A lot of our basics, we're getting a few more, like broadening that signature pack. We've always been newness driven and people still want newness from us, but working out more of a sustainable business plan, would you say? So there's more focus on that continuity piece for us. So always on, like we've got a shirt, I think now we've got in 8 colours, that people just love that shirt. So building that out a little bit more feels a bit more sustainable, like resource wise. Obviously newness is design, shoot, execution, buy-in, selling to our partners. Actually, that's the piece I was going to say on that US piece. We've opened a few doors, I think, from that presence in the US. We've worked on a few new wholesale partnerships as well, which I think which are only just launching. But I think that will then see another kind of growth phase for us out there.
How are you approaching retailers? Are you doing it directly or are you using an agent?
Directly. Yeah.
So you're doing
to do everything directly. Our digital marketing is still out of house, but again, he's been with us for 10 years. He's an American guy.
I think digital is different because it's less relationship driven. When it's relationship driven, I agree. Like you need to own those relationships. Yeah,
everything. I'd love to do everything direct and internal. And I just think you have more. And which is why I've actually gone back to shooting our campaigns myself again, like on the camera, because I think anyone that is in between you, do you know what I mean? It's already one thing from going to my mind to my mouth, let alone my mouth to someone else, then someone else to intellectualize that and try and like re-communicate that, then tell someone else. Like there's just too many. It's like Chinese whispers.
Want to execute, just get on with it.
Eliminate as much room for error or thing for interpretation as possible. And then it stays true, I suppose, to your vision or that instruction.
Are you thinking of opening more stores in the UK and globally?
In the UK, London, I think that's it for the time being.
Because right now you have one store.
Yeah, one store in Essex, which is the first store we've ever had. And it's kind of a bit of a standalone, its own thing. But it's amazing. I say I've got my mum, my cousin, and like a family friend who work in it, who are amazing. And it is what it is. It's just a great energy. Like that Essex girl is amazing. They love going shopping and going out and having fun. So it's a great energy to ever work in there. So just London. And then, like I say, we did a small thing with Harvey Nicks last week, which was really fun. So I think for us, working with our partners in those other territories is quite key for us. It keeps it fresh. Maybe a pop-up. We've not really done a northern pop-up before. Ireland, I know is its own thing, but Dublin's good for us. So maybe that's another territory for a store. But no other permanent stores in Europe for the time being. Yeah. I
guess it would be an inventory nightmare.
Yeah, Europe. Thanks, Brexit. Europe's challenge. But again, it's leaning into those relationships that we have with really good partners, because we're great. Like our social assets and stuff like that is a strength of us as a business. So how we lean into that and work together with our partners, similar to our approach in the Middle East. The Middle East is really growing for us. Actually, that's from a business point of view. We're just about to roll out a translated site for the Middle East into Arabic. So that's the first time we've done that in another language to localise that experience. But the Middle East is really growing for us. But I know that's another
Where
world.
are they coming from? Are they
They're
like, are you
both, they're
actively
local.
targeting it or?
Yeah, a little bit
Yeah.
of both. Yeah. And we're really lucky again because our product is so manipulative. It does work for that more modest
Yeah.
customer. So for a real local customer as well as the expat, like that more Western dressing. So it appeals to both. We've actually got a bit of a beach takeover for a couple of months at the end of the year over there. So yeah, from a business point of view, on that vein, it's quite hard from what I know to open your own store as much as I say I like to keep everything internal in the Middle East. Like the money, the main guys own the malls, that own the brands. That so whether we explore franchising or something, which again we've never done, that would be in that kind of journey maybe next year. So that's that Middle East, yeah, the US, and then Europe's its own thing.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yes,
Yeah.
fun.
And do you have plans to take investment? I know like you've been holding on to, you have full
It's
control
always
of the business
I've
now.
been quite open about obviously during COVID when e-commerce consumer business just went crazy and then you've suddenly got everyone in your ear, this is how much your business is worth, this is what you can do, and you're like, oh, this sounds, do you know what I mean? But it's pretty distracting. And I've explored it, I really have, because our growth, it feels slow to me, but maybe I'm quite an impatient of it, do you know what I mean? But it's been steady and amazing that we've grown. I think we've grown every year we've been in business, do you know what I mean? Turnover, and we've always been profitable. But again, that's a good discipline when it's your own money, that you can't do something without a return. We're in a luckier cash position, obviously, than I was 10 years ago. So if I make an investment, I would be okay if I saw that return in a year. Back then, it used to be, oh, I need to see this tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So I have explored it just because, I say, on that rate of growth, I thought, maybe I could do this faster. And again, something that I think I've grown out of, you see other people doing something and you think, oh, why can't I do that? Is it because I've not got if I had 2 million in my bank, 10, whatever that figure is, I could do that, or which is a really negative trait that is only your issue. Like if ever you have that thing, try and cut it out because there's enough room. Yeah, there's enough room for everyone.
Yeah.
And only, I don't know if it's a maturity that I didn't have before, but only maybe in the last couple of years or since COVID maybe, been really open to that network space, like mentoring people or asking someone else for a bit of help. I never did that. I think I was really not confident in me being an entrepreneur. I never probably said that line since the last year.
Oh, wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, I used to shun that. And my sister comes from that world and used to always be like, oh, meet this person or that person wants some advice. I'm like, why do they want that from me? Or like,
oh, why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think
you are
I
an
never
entrepreneur,
set
you're a
out.
founder.
Yeah, but I never thought that. It's like my mum had a business. I never thought my mum was an entrepreneur. Do you know what I mean? She was a market trader or whatever. She had shops. But so I don't know if that's a British or a female thing, that self-deprecation.
I mean, like,
I don't know.
you know what? I had a problem being a CEO. It just felt so cringy to me.
Yeah, I've never called myself that until just recently.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
probably like 4 years ago.
Yeah, but it's probably easier for me now. I think, well, that's cleaner for when someone always goes, oh, what do you do? I'm like, I kind of like work in fashion, or even that I used to think was a bit cringe, but like, oh, I have a clothes company. That's what I used to say to people. I'm like, oh, that's like, so a CEO is sometimes a bit, like I used to say owner. I was like, that's just a bit weird. Like, that's a weird phrase.
I used to say like, oh, I have a jewelry business, and people would think I just make stuff at home and sell on Etsy.
That's what it sounds. Yeah, but CEO, you should say it. Yeah, I will start saying it much more confidently.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned so far?
You put a lot of pressure on that, I'd say, end goal or a golden ticket on something or someone. Yeah. I don't believe in that anymore. I really think everything is a journey of really small little things.
Yeah, it takes the joy out of the journey.
Yeah,
if you have one single goal.
Yeah, because the goalposts are always moving. There was a study that no matter what your income is, I think it's 30% is the number of what would make you happy to have more, which is so sad to think that. Like, if you're on 30K, you'd be like, yeah, I want whatever that number is, 36K. Yeah, 40K would make me so happy. But then I might have said that when I was on 30K, do you know what I mean, 10 years ago. Whereas now, if someone's on £1 million in the city, if they just had another £1 million in their bank, then that would be safe and that'd be okay. Like, it's mental.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
endless.
Always live for that. Yeah. And it's really sad. So I say those goalposts will always move. So really, I'd say the last year for me, really trying to enjoy the journey, and enjoying those really small things, enjoying the learnings of it. I actually bumped into someone earlier, and I know it sounds pretty profound, but like you don't lose ever, you win or you learn. And there's mistakes like I've made before, and you think, oh, that's what I learned from that. I'll never do that again. Do you know what I mean? I won't work with that person. I won't invest in that. I won't do. But they're the things of why we're sitting here now talking, because otherwise, do you know what I mean? It's a bit like sliding doors. Do you know what I mean? You can't. I wouldn't have learned something that actually might help me in such a bigger way. I say that bad investment there stops me from investing X into something else. And you have to enjoy that and be so appreciative of where you are. Like, how lucky that we're sitting here on a Monday afternoon talking. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got businesses that people are interested to learn about. We're so lucky. So I just think reminding, that lesson for me is just reminding myself.
#blessed.
Yeah, just feel so grateful, grateful.
Is there something you had to let go in order to thrive?
Yeah, maybe that idea that we just spoke about. So let go of that onus on that end goal. Yeah. My friend is the co-founder, I think, of Grind. And he said on a podcast, Dave said, we're in a society where you really put a lot of glory on these Elon Musks or these massive success stories, but the crazy ones, but not on that. Like when I said my mum owns stores, employed X amount of people, that's amazing. Like there's a dry cleaners I walk past. Do you know what I mean? On that business surviving through COVID or whatever challenges they are, of you being able to inspire your kids as being a working mum, whatever that is. I think really praising up those unotherwise glorified successes.
Yeah, I love that. What's one advice you'd give a young founder?
I think just go for it. I wish I dreamt bigger earlier on. But obviously my journey was that I didn't realise I was on a journey back then. I didn't know it was going to last this long. But I wish, if I was aware of that when I started, I wish I dreamt bigger. Last year I was like, I feel like I'm starting again for some reason. I felt like all of that is just homework. And now I'm aware of our voice, of what we could achieve and where I would want to go with the brand. And actually touching, I don't think I'd finished the question on the investment part. Like, I've always been open to what my place is in Never Fully Dressed. Yes, I'm the founder, current CEO. But equally, I believe so much in the potential of the brand. And I'm aware of my skill set. And I'm open to the role that I play in making sure it plays out. So what that might look like in the future, I know what I can bring to the table, but I think might be also exciting if there was another path that other people involved. That would be the reason that I would take investment, is because I believe that would help to achieve that potential.
Thanks so much, Lucy. It was so fun to catch up.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to follow the podcast wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow me at Connie Nam, Astrid and Miyu at Astrid and Miyu, and the Unboxed Instagram page at unboxed_founder confidential. See you next week.